Hey everyone, welcome to another video. This video is gonna be the eyeshadow palette tag part 2. I'm gonna be chatting about my eyeshadow palettes and let's get right into it. So this tag has actually been going around again. I'm not entirely sure where this came from, who started it, what exactly was the part 1. I'm a bit confused, but at least I've seen videos like this and I thought those videos were very interesting. So I'm just here to answer the questions from the eyeshadow palette tag part 2. I will link some videos down below that inspired me, that I found really fun to watch and that really made me want to do this tag as well. So if you are interested in more videos like this, check the description box. So we have some questions about eyeshadow palettes. I really love eyeshadow palettes. They are one of my favorite things to use, to film with, to review. There are so many options with eyeshadow, so many colors, so many textures, and I feel like even though I've been using and buying eyeshadows for quite some time, we still get like new interesting textures and trends, and I keep being inspired. Of course, there are always some periods that I feel a bit less inspired by eyeshadow, but in general I think a lot of cool eyeshadow palettes are actually coming out. You're probably not gonna see this before the new Hella palette is coming out, the one with Angelica, Nyqvist and Oden. I'm really excited about that. I haven't really talked about it in any video because I pre-filmed quite a bit. I can't really film and upload in one day anymore, but I just wanted to say I'm for sure gonna try and pick it up. I think I'm gonna be successful because the last time with the other Legendary Diverse collection, it was pretty easy to get your hands on. So probably gonna get up a little bit earlier to grab that one. But let's get into the eyeshadow palettes that are currently in my collection. So the first question is, what is your all-time favorite palette? And I found this to be a very difficult question to answer actually. And all of these questions I thought were a little bit tough because I didn't want to put one palette in 4 spots. I wanted to give you an arrangement of different palettes. I wanted to talk about some different palettes. So I decided to go with a palette that you might not expect because I want to put other palettes in other spots. So the one that I actually found deserved this spot is the Nabla Dreamy palette, and I really wanted to choose a palette that actually has been in my collection for a little bit longer. I already had this before I started my channel, and I also just wanted to pick a palette that has inspired me for as long as I've had it and has inspired me for quite a long time because of that, but also one that still gets me really excited. And this is just me in a color story. I just love these types of tones. I love this mix of kind of neutrals and colorful shades, but the colorful shades are not too colorful. They are still quite wearable. This is really the type of color story that I'm into. I love this mix. I love that there's some interest there. I do love neutral looks, but I just want to be excited. I just want to feel inspired. I really love this shade, the one called Senorita. This is such a beautiful shade. I really love using this palette. It's such an amazing palette. These shimmers are sometimes described as being a little bit satin, but I feel like they are quite nice and creamy, and I really love using these. They're not really like special textured shimmers in here, but every look that I do with this I just love so much. So I thought that this deserved the all-time favorite spot for me. But I can imagine with all of the amazing palettes that are coming out around this time and have come out the past year that I might feel differently if I do this tag again in a year, but for now I'm gonna pick this one. Okay, the next question is, what is my new favorite palette? And I'm actually gonna choose the Giant Wolves palette by Annette's Makeup Corner and Oden's Eye. This is such a beautiful palette. I love the packaging. I love how sleek this is, but this color story is just everything I would want in a color story, especially right now in fall and winter. I just love these shades. This is like one of my favorite mattes in my collection. This is the one in a blaze. It's so beautiful. I really love it. Then the shade in Eternal, this multi-chrome, is so smooth, very shiny. It has such a nice mixture of shades like light blue, silver, kind of gold, green, pink and lilac. It is so stunning, and I've really enjoyed using this so much. Every look that I've done with it, I just have really loved. And this is like a palette that really excites me because of the collaboration, because of the brand, but also this color story has really proven to be something that I really enjoy, because you can go a little bit like toned down in a way, but it's still colorful, it's still interesting. You have so many different options. There's not really something that I would change about this one. Also this Eternal shade, oh, Astral shade, that one is called Astral. That shade, that is so beautiful for the inner corner. I have grabbed for that one so many times for the inner corner. This is an amazing palette, and I just had to mention it somewhere in this video. So this is gonna go to my new favorite. And then next up we have the question, the palette I keep for the memories. And I have to say, I'm not really a sentimental person. I don't really keep stuff around if I don't feel like using it anymore. I've never really done it with makeup. I've always kind of just thrown out makeup that I didn't really want to use anymore. It's just how practical I am. If it's like, if it's just expired, if I don't use it anymore, then I'll probably just get rid of it. But one palette that I wanted to mention for this spot that I also just keep because I really love it, and because it's a great quality palette, and because I really enjoy the looks that I do with it, but also has a special place in my heart, is the Side by Side Nude palette by Nabla. This is the first palette that I reviewed on my channel, and I just remember being so excited when this came out, and being so excited because a Dutch web shop actually had it the day it released. And I just started my channel, I just uploaded one video, and I was like, oh my god, this is my chance. I have to get this palette, I have to be quick, I have to review it, I have to put up a look. I can be the first one to have a video up. And I believe I actually was. I was the first with that video, but my videos weren't that good just yet, and not the best quality settings, not the best editing yet. I was still pretty awkward, and I don't know, when I see that video, I'm just like, it's not it. It's not that I've watched the complete video back. I don't know if I'm ready to do that, but it just wasn't entirely it. I don't know what I was doing and how I learned to do it differently, but I feel like my looks and my swatches and my close-ups and everything, my first impressions are a lot better now. But I really felt like this was the chance I could review this, and this was the very first palette that I reviewed. And even though I didn't know yet how to make a thumbnail, even though I didn't know yet how to make a title that is actually easy to be found in the search bar, things like that, I still got quite a few views on it, and I was still pretty proud of myself. So this was a very exciting time, and it just reminds me of the start of my channel. I was also very stressed out because a lot of things went wrong, and I wasn't that fast yet with doing everything. I wasn't that fast yet with like editing and filming, and I was still very nervous. But there's just this charm when it comes to doing some things for the first time, just the excitement and still having the chance to learn everything that has to do with it. So this really reminds me of that. Next up is an underrated palette, and I decided to go with the Kiko Milano Ethereal eyeshadow palette from the Holiday Fable collection, and this one is in 03 Surreal Destination. I think this is still available. I think this is on sale, but I've heard nobody talk about this. But I don't really hear a lot of people talk about Kiko anyway. I don't hear a lot of people buying them, but I really like this brand, and I really love this eyeshadow palette. I have really been raving about this because the shades in here are just very shiny, very textured without being chunky. It's like a very sophisticated, very creamy shimmer. These shimmers are very creamy, very beautiful. I was so impressed when I tried this for the first time. I just really love this eyeshadow palette, and I've been telling you to grab this, and if you see it on sale, it is totally worth it. I just really love these eyeshadows. This is a great formula. I think Kiko did a great job, and I just wanted to mention this one again before it is gone forever and you can't find this anymore. Next up we have not a favorite but can't get rid of. And I kind of have two options. One is a bit older, one is a bit newer. One that is not a favorite but I can't get rid of is the Huda Beauty new Nude palette. This is a palette that I bought when I didn't really spend a lot of money on palettes usually. Like spending 40 euros on a palette was already too much for me. And then I was in Germany, I was at Sephora. There's no Sephora in the Netherlands, which is pretty sad. There used to be, but there isn't anymore. So I was finally in a Sephora and I was like, maybe this is the moment. I should buy something. I'm in Sephora now. So I bought this one and it was really expensive for me. And I still would say this is a pretty expensive palette. And I do quite like the quality in here. I do quite like the looks I've done with it. But it is just a palette that I don't really reach for. I don't really use it a lot. But still I can't get rid of it because it was so expensive. And it's not like I don't like the quality. I do like the quality. Shimmery shades in here, like the textured shades in here are very, very pretty. But still I don't really reach for it. There's something about this palette. I don't think it's bad, so I don't get rid of it. But I just don't really use it. I think maybe it's the shades. Maybe the shades are just a little bit not my shades. I have discovered that I'm not someone who wears a lot of mauve eyeshadow. That's not really something I do. More like on the rosy side, but these are a little bit more like purpley almost. The shade that I have used quite a bit is this shade called Lace. This is the one I actually bought this palette for. That's the shade I really, really wanted in my life. So that one. And also the Kiko Charming Escape Maxi eyeshadow palette in Green Fuel. I just really, really love the Kiko Charming Escape collection. Just the packaging, the whole theme of this collection. I thought this was such a stunning collection. And I also really love this out of box. I'm not getting rid of that. And then the inside is just okay. The eyeshadow formula in this is just okay. It's not bad, but it's just a little bit softer. The shimmers are a little bit softer. I do really love the looks that I do with these eyeshadows. When I see a look that I did with this, when I see it in a thumbnail, or maybe I see a picture on my Instagram, I don't know, then I'm always like, oh, that's pretty, what is that? And then it's this. So I do think it makes me look very pretty, but there's still something about it that is just not that interesting, just looking at the color story and the quality. But because I just really, really love this whole theme and this whole collection and the packaging, I'm probably not gonna get rid of that very soon. And then we're moving on to my favorite collab palette. You probably expected to see this palette before in this video, but I didn't want to put it on so many different spots. I could have put this in like 4 different spots. If you have watched my channel, you know that I really, really loved the Kaleidos and Angelica Nyqvist Club Nebula palette. I'm actually wearing it today. It's part of my Shop My Stash and I still had to do a look with it. So I'm wearing it today and I think the look came out really pretty. I actually used these 2 mattes in the crease and I used the shade Celestial and a little bit of You're My Only Hope in the inner corner. I think this is such a gorgeous palette. This is like the perfect collab. This palette is a moment. This whole color story, the packaging, the whole theme, I just really, really love it. This also is a palette that has a special place in my heart. It's also actually one of my favorite collab palettes ever. It is also a newer favorite. It's also in a way an all-time favorite. I could have put this in so many spots in this video, but I didn't want to bore you and put this in every spot. So just know that this is like the palette for me, the palette that really, really brings me a lot of joy. That's also one of the questions that's coming in a bit, but I didn't put this there because I could have made this whole video about this palette and I thought maybe not. Let's maybe not do that, but I really, really love this palette. So I'm telling you now, this is amazing. If you missed out on it, I'm very, very sorry about that, but I really, really love this palette and I'm really, really glad that I got my hands on this one. And I told you that this could be in so many spots in this video. And my favorite palette of 2021 was of course the Club Nebula palette. If you've seen my eyeshadow palette ranking, then you know that I just really, really love this one and I put this on the #1 spot. I already put it away, but it was also the answer to the next question. I cannot put any other palette here. This is just a palette of 2021 for me. It was from the moment it was revealed and the moment I tried it, I was just like, this is the palette. Nothing is gonna beat this. And I think that this is just as special as it's gonna get because this was a first collab of Angelica Nyqvist and it was like finally she gets a collab and this was it. So yeah, this was my #1 for 2021. Alright, then a palette that I didn't expect to love and I actually put quite an unexpected palette here, I think. I didn't really expect to pick this palette for this spot, but I have to be honest with myself, and it's the Glamlite Ice Cream Dream palette. I did expect to like it. I did expect to be quite a fan of it and do some cute pastel looks, but I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. I just really got into the neutral shades in this palette. I have used this palette quite a bit for the neutrals. I just love the shimmers in here. I love all the shades. I just think this is such a cute palette and I love the quality. And this really got me into Glamlite, because before this I had never tried the Glamlite formula, but this really made me go like, I need to get on that. I need to pay some attention and try some Glamlite, and that is what I did last year. I tried quite a few Glamlite eyeshadow palettes, and I did expect to like it, but I didn't expect to love it. So I'm gonna put this in this spot. And then for a palette that sparks joy, I told you I could have put the Club Nebula palette here. It would have been a very short and very easy video if I just put that everywhere. But I decided to go with something else because I just want to talk about some different things. So what I put here is actually the Nabla Dreamy 2. And I know it may seem a little bit random, like why are you putting that? But I just love this whole mystical, mysterious vibe, the darkness of this packaging, and then the inside. I love the colors in here. I love all the shades, the different textures. It is a very interesting palette. Some of these shades are just so shimmery, so shiny, and I just love the looks that I get with this. This Hidden Place shade is also very beautiful. It's like bronzy olive and also kind of like plummy, and I just think this is a gorgeous palette. But this whole theme and just how interesting this color story is to me, the interesting textures, it just really makes me so happy to have this palette and to see this palette in my collection. I don't use this like on the daily, but it's just such a fun palette, and I can remember watching videos on this and be really into it. It did take me a while to actually buy it from when it was released, but when I got it I was just so happy with this one. I think this is an amazing palette with a very good vibe to it. I really love this type of mysterious theme, so I'm gonna go with this one. But of course there are so many palettes in my collection that really spark joy and it really make me so happy. It's just what I do. It is just what it's just what I do. It's just, if you're a makeup lover, if you're an eyeshadow lover and you have a beautiful collection and you open your drawer, you're just like happy. And then we're on to the newest palette in my collection, and the newest palette is actually this Catrice Cosmetics Hint of Mint Pro Slim eyeshadow palette. I did a first impression on this and I wasn't too impressed. I wasn't too happy with this palette. I thought the mattes were fine, but the shimmers were just a little bit lackluster. They got a little bit of hard pan. I couldn't really get them on my eyes the way I wanted. They looked a little bit dry, a little bit uninteresting. And someone commented that there were a lot of like repeat shades on this, and I do agree. I feel like this is a little bit of an interesting palette, and I think that the more grungy palette that they did in the last update was a lot more interesting when it comes to the color story, and that made up a lot for a little bit of lack in pigmentation. So I'm not too excited about this palette, but it is the newest palette in my collection, so I'm showing it here. But yeah, I don't know if I would recommend it. I have to try it again, but I don't know if I would do that. And then we're on to the last question. And the last question is actually, what is the first palette that you used in 2022? I have no idea. I have not paid that much attention. I don't remember. I don't know. How should I know? I don't know. I really don't know. It basically could be anything. Well, not entirely anything, but it is just a question that I don't really have an answer to. It's been a month and a half and I don't know. But what I do know is the first Instagram look that I posted was with the Giant Wolves palette. So there is quite a chance that that was actually the first palette, or at least one of the first palettes that I used in 2022. But I don't know for sure. Probably it wasn't, but I just cannot tell you what it was. I can't. So we're gonna go with the Giant Wolves. At least I used it at the start of 2022 and it was the first post I did. So probably it was that. Okay, so this is gonna be everything for the eyeshadow palette tag part 2. Of course, feel free to do this tag as well. I think it was very fun. I love talking about eyeshadow palettes as always. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe, and also let me know what your answers are to these questions. I'm always very curious to hear other people's opinions, and then I will see you in my next one. Bye bye!